Hi, this is the next unit we'll be working on, which is assemblage sculpture. Or if you want to call it assemblage sculpture, that's fine. What is assemblage? This type of artwork started in the United States during the 1950s and 1960s by artists such as Robert Rauschenberg and Jim Dine. And this type of assemblage is a form of three-dimensional visual art. So it's a sculpture whose compositions are formed from everyday items, usually called found objects or also junk art. So when you are looking up your images for your assignment in Google Classroom, you can use the searches of found object art, junk art, or assemblage art. Before we get started, let's look at some images. This first set of images is by the English artist Anne Carrington. She uses various materials, such as flattened aluminum cans and silverware, to create her sculptures. This sculpture, which looks very traditional, is just made out of spoons. This is an artist from Portland, Oregon, Brian Mack, and he really sort of specializes in animal sculptures. So if you look closely at the close-ups, you can see all the little bits and pieces put together, many very, very commonly found items that are all assembled to create unique and very interesting textured surfaces. This is artist Matt Wilson. And again, if you're interested, you can click the hyperlink. He does mainly birds out of silverware again. And then sometimes these are against a background or freestanding. This is Indonesian artist Sumarsono, also known as Ono Gaf, and he has made a monumental tortoise, huge proportions, with car parts and thrown away junk. This is artist Sayaka Gans, and then she also uses such things as spoons and knives and forks. And what she does with her sculptures is that she does a uniform paint on top of this. Pablo Picasso is a very famous artist. This is one of the artworks that sort of kicked off this whole type of art, which is called Goat Skull and Bottle. This is an Adopt-A-Bot metal junk art by American sculptor Brian Marshall. Here are some artworks. I wasn't able to get the name of the artist. They were found on Pinterest. But again, these seem to be from everyday items, things that we would find in our kitchen, and then like odds and ends of game parts and paintbrushes and bolts, etc. These are records that have been melted and added to sculptures. Bernard Prass does interesting portraits. Some of these are very famous portraits, and then what he does is he lays different objects of very specific color values on top of them to make his fine art or junk art version of these fine art pieces. Jason Mercier specializes in celebrity collages done with the celebrity's own discarded objects. So these actual components were from Mariah Carey's garbage and from Donald Trump's garbage. Tom Denninger has a really interesting website. The piece on the left is how he started this collage sculpture, and the piece on the right is his finished one. And if you go to the hyperlink in blue, you can actually watch as he builds this on this piece of plywood. Subodh Gupta creates sculptures with brass pots and eerie skulls from a mashup of metal parts, or just some of the skilled Indian artists' work. So a really sort of interesting collection of odds and ends into this big monumental piece. So for your learning target, for your assemblage sculpture, number 1, I can find objects to assemble into an artwork from around my home or workplace. You really don't have to buy materials for this. Number 2, I can create an assemblage artwork no smaller than 10 by 10. How big you want it is really up to you. Number 3, I can use the principles of design such as repetition, emphasis, and unity in my artwork. Number 4, I will photo document my work during my process of building. It is our goal through this unit to challenge ourselves to create artworks out of non-traditional materials, to repurpose objects that may no longer have value in the function or its function, but could be used for their aesthetic appeal in our sculpture. And also to think about color. Do you want to use the object's actual color or apply color to unify your object? How to begin? Step 1. First, I would like you to curate or find 15 images of assemblage or junk art in a Google image search. Please copy and paste your images into a Google Classroom assignment. Step 2. You're going to collect your materials. Collect a little bit more than you think you will need, as sometimes you want to have choices. Please take a picture of your materials before you start assembling your sculpture with them. Finally, step 3, begin your build. If your build is going pretty quickly, please remember to take pictures so that we can see your work in progress. After you've finished, please take multiple pictures of your finished artwork and come up with a title and send your photos to me via a Google Classroom assignment. Our big concept for this is that through our creating of our own assemblage artworks, we will have a deeper appreciation for the skills and work involved by assemblage artists, those who repurpose and reuse and recycle things often cast aside by ourselves and our society. Good luck.